What's happening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of One-on-One with the Supervillain with me, your resident supervillain, Mr. Jay Washington. I know the background looks a little bit different, and I'm going to be looking down as opposed to straight on because I'm not at home right now. I'm not in my room. I'm not in my studio. I'm out of town. I'm in Chicago, my hometown. But I still wanted to make sure I do these. And if you don't know, I don't know why you wouldn't, but these are the members of my supervillain squad that are signed up at the $25 and up tier. And to show a level of my appreciation for the months that they are a member of that tier, they get this one-on-one time with me. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but that's just like a meet and greet. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing about most meet and greets when you think about it. It's probably 5 to 10 minutes at best. It's a picture, a handshake, and then bye. We're talking for about close to an hour about whatever they want to talk about. This isn't about me. It's about them. So this is completely unedited. It's candid. It's raw. We're just going to have fun and we're going to enjoy ourselves. And today I got one of the members of the squad. And it was one of the craziest things when he asked me about this. He was like, yo, did you ever wrestle at a certain spot in Berwyn? I was like, many, many times. But ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce one of my members of my squad, Mr. Jim Payne. Jim, what's happening?
Hey, Jay, how's it going?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Thank you for having me and being here with me for this.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. Been to indie wrestling shows, and you get a few minutes with a wrestler. You maybe buy a $25 T-shirt, and you're out.
And you're done. Yeah,
An hour. This seems like money well spent to me.
Oh, well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Like I've been telling everybody, I've been enjoying actually doing these. Like, it's been fun because at first I was like, well, let's just, when it was like, let's see what happens. Let's just put it there. But they've all been fun. They all been energetic. They've all been different. And I didn't think I was going to be as pumped up as I am with all these. So I've been loving them, man. I really been having a blast with them.
What was it? Alberto,
yeah.
Rudy and Luis.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed all three of them. Just watching them on the Patreon. They were all good conversations, and really that's what's brought me to you, catching you on Collider and then everywhere else that you've done things.
Thank you, man. I feel like sometimes being, people like everywhere you've been, I'd be like, have I really been a lot of places? Because to me, being the person that likes to work his ass off that I am, I feel like I'm never in enough spots. You know what I'm saying? I'm never doing enough. I feel like I'm doing just the bare minimum.
Well, and I think with you guys, since you're such a close-knit group in that, I think of them as different places, but you spent a lot of time at Collider doing the wrestling sheet with Ryan or Smo Downs or whatever. It's all, so it may all seem like one thing to you, but to us it's several things,
know. Of course. I think on top of just that, not even just the fact that, of course we do all those different things in the same building, but when I'm doing, like you bring up the wrestling stuff, when I do the acting, the stand-up and everything, sometimes I feel like I'm never doing enough. So I'm always like, am I doing a lot? Like literally before we were about to record this is how much I feel like I have to work and keep busy. So it's almost 10 p.m. Central Time here in Chicago, 11 p.m. on the East Coast. It'd be 8 on the West Coast. I'm still keeping my mind on West Coast time, but however, I was about to order 2 Trenta coffees from Starbucks on Postmates. They were closed. Like,
that I've done some traveling in my time, and time zones are rough.
You know what? Like, that's one of the times when I come home now, I normally don't come back for a long time. Like, I come back at the most maybe 5-6 days. So this way my body doesn't fully get adjusted to this time. Because like I leave back at maybe 7-8, like on the 3rd. I was staying later, but I got to do some stuff out there. So I got to leave earlier. But I was like, damn it. By the time I leave, I already know it. I'm going to be back adjusted to this time. So I keep telling myself, I'm looking at my clock on my laptop, which hasn't reset. I'm like, okay, it's cool. It's 7:50. It is really 7:50. It's just dark right now. I'm telling
myself. Yep. That's, I mean, like I said, I've watched you at all these different YouTube sites and your comedy. I've even seen some trauma matches.
Okay, so that was interesting to me. Like when I was like, yo, like it's rare that I find people who remember the trauma days. Like
Yeah.
I've been going down the memory lane a lot with those from a lot of people recently. Like,
Yeah, well,
do you remember what you saw?
it was what was it? When I found out you were a wrestler, I went to the cage match
Yeah.
site database and hunted you down and found some YouTube stuff. And but yeah, and I thought I had seen one clip where you were at Berwyn.
I probably would. Like I said, I did a couple of shows from like Berwyn had become one of those spots that was like everybody, if you could afford it, you were running out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we as workers to a point wrestlers was like, yo, this is getting really oversaturated with this one spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everybody run the show. There's nothing unique about it.
Yeah, well, and I know I've been there for Shimmer. But I know they run a Lucha Chicago or an organization,
a Lucha company, one of the Lucha companies,
and then they do other more standard indie wrestling shows there too. It's like, yeah, okay, this is the spot in Chicago, I guess.
Well, it used to be. So that's funny because Berwyn was always just known for AAW. That was it. It was AAW had the Berwyn Eagles Club. That was it. And everybody was going out to Midlothian, to the Midlo Dome, the Midlothian Rec Center. Like that, it was for a while. It was like, okay, people are doing that. But then everybody started doing that. Then people would all start finding one promotion would find one thing and everybody else would try to just keep running it. And it's like, yo, let one promotion have one spot. I get that you're like, okay, cool, they draw, but that's because they have a fan base that draws. Doesn't necessarily mean you gonna draw.
Right. I did go to the Logan Town Center. I think that I saw a show up there, and that was July or August, and the place had no air conditioning. I felt like I wrestled.
Okay, so let me tell you, I've had numerous nights where we've done shows where it's like the locker room area is already a sweat box. When you go outside, it's worse with the humidity. Then you got to work, and that steam and everything is in there. And fans at least get to get up and go outside and catch a break if they want to try to get some air. If you're working, you just waiting on deck, like, all right, how many more matches before mine? Shit, they got to go home. All right, well, we're almost up. So,
well, and that's like I said, all your wrestling experience shows in the Schmodown too, which made you one of my favorites there.
You know what? It's funny you bring that up. I'm so a lot of people have asked me, like, was I ever gonna go back full time? And I'm gonna say something. I do miss it a lot of times. Yeah. I do. I miss it. It is kind of weird watching them do everything now this way, the StreamYards and virtual and stuff. I do miss it. I do miss the live events.
Yeah.
And like I do miss being on that mic. Like one of the things cutting promos is one of the greatest things for me. It was just like I had a blast always.
I know others have said it, but you gotta teach a class with maybe Jen Sturger and some of the other people that have wrestling backgrounds to teach these new people. Not to call out Ben Goddard, but a heel will never say, "I'm the heel."
Yeah. There used to be those little things. I guess that was the wrestler in me, that those little things would irk me when I would hear that. Like it would irk my soul because like I know what this is supposed to be. And again, I know everybody ain't into wrestling and that's fair. But I would hear it and I'd be like, God damn it, you don't say what you want.
That and they kind of misuse kayfabe a bit, and they use other. It's like when you're talking about something you don't really know about, but you try to use the term, you know.
Oh my God, that for me, I think that was one of the biggest things that made me snap out in the Schmodown group. Like I understand it was all best intentions. But it was like, again, this wrestler that's in me. I've been in this business so long. I understand the terminology. I understand everything. And to hear you just use it, it's just like, shut the fuck up.
And I don't think anyone meant any offense or meant any disrespect.
Of course they didn't. But it's like I know they didn't. But again, this ingrained person who's been in the business, it's with so like I know what because the term kayfabe was one of these sacred terms.
Yes,
this was one of these sacred terms that only people in the industry would say to one another when the fans or marks were around. We would never just openly say the word kayfabe. Like when you saw, like if you had a heel and a face just happen to be out together and a fan might walk up, you say kayfabe and go apart. So it was part of the business. And then when you hear, you're like, shut the fuck.
Yeah. Well, and I'm old enough to remember that, when it was the guarded secret before, and some of the, like Goddard was never really a fan, but even at his age, he's only going to be introduced to the WWE after they sports entertainment.
Yeah, more so. Yeah, sports. The Attitude Era, sports entertainment era. But again, and that's the thing. I can't fault. Like I said, I can't fault anybody that don't know it. I get it. Everybody's trying to play the role and get into it. And again, I think it also for me got me because I was like, I'm going back into business. I knew I was going to get back into business eventually. And I've already seen the shithole that the business has become with marks and smart marks thinking they know more than the workers. So like I already was dealing with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm already dealing with these marks and smart marks when I see in these groups on Facebook and Twitter. And I'm like, yo, shut the
that's I have a problem now with the wrestling fans, and they thinking they know more than the performers, or not just the performers, but the bookers and everybody else. It's like, sit back and enjoy the show.
I think that's the thing. It's like, yo, if you're not gonna like it, you're not gonna like it. If you're gonna like it, you're gonna like it. Leave it at that. Stop trying to be like, well, the reason they're doing this because they don't want to book this person like that. And they should book them like this. And like, stop playing armchair booker. And the problem was, so I learned this early on in my career out here, where we would tell so many people, stop playing armchair booker. And then they'd be like, okay, I'm going to be a real booker. And then try to run a fucking promotion. And you're like, that is not
You want to do that? There's some computer programs, or you can go write fan fiction style.
Oh, my God. The level of people that just started throwing promotions together just because they thought they knew better than they knew better just than Vince McMahon. Look, I don't care what nobody say about Vince. Like, we might hate him for what he does with his product sometimes. We might love him for what he does with his product. But at the end of the day, you cannot deny this man has built $1 billion global conglomerate, like the world over. No matter what fans say, oh, this shit is stupid, people still spending money. Like,
no. I'm not one of them. He's kind of pushed me to more indie stuff, because that's where my interest in the storytelling and the action is. But it really wasn't Vince, or it's kind of the situation, or ebb and flow. I've gone to the WWE and left and come back, and they've had their ups and downs. And if you've been telling a story for 40 some years or more, you're going to have that, in anything.
With no breaks on top of it. I think that's the part people forget. Like, out of every single, even other indie companies and wrestling promotions, they don't take a break so much, but the WWE makes sure this machine is consistently rolling. Think about it. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and Vince was like, all right, so we can condense some storylines, but we're going to keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they're doing 10 hours a week or so of content. Yeah, I mean, of course not everything's going to hit, but
that's the problem I have too, with people always now, like people who do this whole AEW to WWE comparison, like, stop trying to compare the two. I get there's former WWE talent, you know what I'm saying? But they're trying to be they're being their own company. Let them do what they do. So
Right.
if they have their mistakes, that's their mistakes. But if their greats are their greats, just like Vince's mistakes are Vince's mistakes.
Right.
The biggest mistake that AEW can do at any point is try to mimic what Vince and them does. That'll
Right.
be their biggest fault.
Well, and I always thought Vince's biggest mistake was killing all his competition.
I agree.
Now
I
he
definitely
didn't do it on his own. His competition may have committed suicide or helped him do that.
Man,
But
listen.
when he was the only game in town, that's when I think it started dropping. Not dropping, but
it's always anybody's worst thing, no matter
Yeah.
wrestling, any other business. When you buy out your competition, you have nothing to force you to be better. The great days of WCW, the Monday Night Wars, forced him and the guys in the back to become these legends we now know.
Right.
Because you had real competition. Like, I don't think, as of now, AEW is competition, but it's not that threatening WCW level Monday Night Wars competition. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
They're building people are watching, and everybody's like, oh, their biggest competition is NXT. And I'm like, NXT is literally an indie show produced by the WWE Weekly.
It's AAA wrestling, not as baseball.
It's wrestling produced by the WWE. But when it comes to AEW, it's like they're finding their footing. Of course, they needed a few stars to help jump it off. I know they were all like, yo, we're going to do this without these stars formerly from the WWE. But unfortunately, when you're trying to grab those fans from this billion-dollar conglomerate, everybody don't know who a Kenny Omega is. Right. Everybody don't know who Adam Page is. That's why I'm glad they didn't make him the first champ, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Jericho was their biggest. Getting him was what put them, helped them. I do think they need maybe a few more. I mean, nothing against anybody, but I've watched a few of them, and it's like this guy, they got a guy on there that's 5'2", 100 pounds, doing power bomb.
Well, that's another thing I've always had, but again, that's that indie mentality. That is a problem I've had for years with the indies now, where we've taken psychology and theory. Again, you've been a fan for years and stuff. You've watched it, like you said, the stories and the believability. And if I'm watching a dude that's 5'2", 100 pounds, powerbomb somebody then to twice his size, or powerbomb somebody smaller than him, then the person he powerbombs just jumps right the fuck back up, then that kind of kills all the belief behind it.
Yeah. That's one of as a fan, one of the things that I don't like to see is the no sell, or where a wrestler the worst one is a pin where they're not touching, and you can see that from your seat, like it's the hover pin. Yep. I'm just going to be on all fours over top of them and go for a pin.
Every pin commit to that pin. I guess. Yeah. I sorry to cut you off. I guess I'm just like, I see so much. That's the one thing with AEW. I do have a small level. I understand a resentment against, and I wouldn't say resentment. It's just like, I just wish it wouldn't be that, but I understand as everybody said, the business has changed and the fan base has changed. Whereas people like the spot fest, and don't get me wrong, I can still run spots like crazy. I don't care. Yeah. But I've always been about the psychology, to tell the story part.
Yeah. Yeah. And wrestling can be so many different things, and all of them can be good. It's just the commitment, I think. And now this is just as a fan, you would know more than I do, but I see wrestlers out on the indies that are, I feel, better than the WWE because they look more committed. When I watch them, it looks like they're having an athletic event.
Well, so here's the reason with that. This is actually, I'm glad you brought that up, though. There's a reason because of that. So the guys and girls in the WWE are told to take it easy because you have to work so much.
Right.
So work make it look good. Don't phone it in, but don't go above and beyond every single match because
Right.
you got to be on the road 200 days a year.
Yeah.
Your body's not going to handle that.
Yeah. You don't.
Especially need you to do it. So, of course, you got the guys and the girls on the indies who are like, yo, I'm going to give you everything I got. But if you notice, we see a lot of those and they end up getting signed and you don't see them doing all that anymore.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Now there are some that I'm happy they get signed because I know that's what all of them are working to. But then it's like, wait, when I saw you at the Eagles Club, you were better than, on TV here.
Well, that's again like on the Eagles. This is the thing. So, and for those watching, just a little bit, I'm gonna give you some behind the curtain magic. For those who kind of don't know, we all know wrestling's predetermined. Yes, no matter what, we all know this. The difference is on the indies, the only thing you might be told is this is how we need the finish to be because we're probably doing something else. Whereas in the WWE, you're told this is what this match exactly needs to be. You got an agent on that match. You got to call it. Then you probably won't even call most of your match. When you in the ring, you two are calling it in the ring, and the rep is telling you stuff that Vince and your producers are in the back telling you to do.
Yeah.
So it's like the production level of a match changes immensely.
Yeah. I've been to a few WWE shows, and they're more like going to a rock concert than what I feel about going to a wrestling show at the Eagles Club or other places I've been. And also, I can afford front row there where I'm up in the nosebleed
front row
seats.
with man. Listen, I guess it's just the way the business it evolves. I mean, every business evolves. I get it. You get so comfortable with what you know, and then things change on you. But I'm glad I've got a chance to watch the change. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't where I was in the business, I left it, I didn't think nothing about it, turned back around, and now I'm like, what the hell is all this?
Yeah.
I just I never really paid super duper attention to the indies, even when I was on the indies. Like I knew people because I'd done shows with them, we became friends and stuff like that. But like when you had this whole new batch of people, you're just like, who? And
yeah. Well, that's in, I guess, the indies. You never know who, you don't have that, like WWE, those guys might leave, but they're usually there for a few years. Indies, it could be rotating, revolving door of people coming in and out.
Absolutely, especially unless that company in particular has a set group of indie wrestlers they're using.
Yeah.
Because you get some companies who are like, okay, so every month you'll see, this is back when I was doing it. So every month you'll see possibly a Silas Young or a Michael Elgin, some people like that. But then, you get this other talent that comes through that they're trying to feed in, but you never know who these talents may be.
Yeah.
I think it's always been interesting to see who pops because there's that expression, the cream rises to the top. And I believe it, but all the time it's not as true. You know what I'm saying? You see people go up to the top and you're like, oh, you were the best? And it's not a knock, but it's just like when you know the people they were up against in comparison.
Yeah, that's hard as a fan to judge because all I can judge is the performance I saw. I don't know, like, did they hit all their mark? Did they, were they crisp with you in the ring? Were they good to work with you in the ring? But yeah, wrestling is just another form of comic books for me. Another let's have the good guys and bad guys and have some action.
Yeah, I tell everybody, for me, the wrestling business made me get into the stand-up business, being in the stand-up business so much easier.
Yeah,
because the two parallel each other so much. It's ridiculous. Like I knew how to deal with promoters in comedy from dealing with bullshit promoters in wrestling.
Yeah.
How to put a set together for stand up, for having to put a match together. So all these different things I learned, like the little things that people wouldn't think you would apply to them, they did and they worked. And so with comic books, you got your good guys in your bag.
Well, and it's just the story. That's like with the WWE, sometimes they get too much into the soap opera or just storylines that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're watching good wrestling, it's like following Batman in a case or a Superman adventure, or it's not maybe not the long running, but it's the arc of.
I tell people this, I give people a good reminder. I'm glad what you just said though about the soap opera part with the WWE, because I have to tell a lot of people this who forget. So the WWE, SmackDown, Raw, and NXT are television programs centered around wrestling.
Yeah.
They're not wrestling television programs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're television programs that center around wrestling. That's why all of the stories, that's why you get the drama. That's why you get the angles. That's why, again, that whole sports entertainment, phase. And now that we're slowly starting to say wrestling again.
Right.
So, I mean, I can get it because I can tell in your face, you're like, it fucking sucks. I can tell in your face. Because I feel you. I completely get it because you hear WWE, you think World Wrestling Entertainment. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, it should be just wrestling.
Yeah. Well, and it's like Netflix Glow. That they're closer to that than they are a sport of wrestling. But really, the WWE's problem is they really shouldn't be doing the shows in COVID here, because it's killed my interest in watching empty arena matches,
I think the worst thing they did for me, like them doing it, for me personally, the first couple of weeks of doing empty arena shows, I was interested to see it.
Yeah.
But it got weird when I saw people, because again, playing to the crowd is something you're trained to do. I'm like, fine. Yeah. But then it's like, we're playing to a crowd. We know it's not there. That was some of the things. Like, it was certain moves and certain taunts they would do to the crowd. It's like, there ain't nobody there. Like, I kind of get it. But when AEW did, they were putting the faces on one side, the heels on the other. I was like, all right, let's see how this looks. And then because the Khans own Daly's Place, they can have fans in the back of Daly's Place. It helps out more. But the problem is when you get to the WWE, it's trainees and NXT wrestlers. I'm like, if anybody gets hurt on this show, one of them getting called in real quick. Like.
Yeah, that's. I do. I was just gonna. I could talk wrestling the whole hour, but I do got some other comic book stuff, and that.
Man, this is all your time.
On the Mad Titan, and I forget who your guest was last week. Yeah, you guys were talking about redoing the X-Men with Giancarlo Stanton as
Esposito.
Yeah.
It's so funny because people always know Giancarlo Stanton. I was like, I don't think the baseball players.
and I love Esposito. Moff Gideon is one episode, and he's my favorite character on The Mandalorian. He was, I don't know if you watched it, but Evolution or Revolution? It was an NBC sci-fi show where like all technology got shut down, and he played a character very similar. He's just a great bad guy.
Yes.
But what I loved you guys' idea, but I would have changed one thing. I would have left the X-Men, the Eric Lesher and as Magneto leave them in the 60s and 70s and start it new now, because it solves two problems. One, you got these people like you guys said, Magneto would be in his 90s almost now, if
Right.
not. But if you say they happened, here's another one. This Esposito's character is coming out of, I think you said, the Rwanda
Mm-hmm. The Rwanda
genocide.
genocide. Yeah.
Yeah. You have the genocides that happened in the Balkans around Kosovo and Macedonia and Croatia and
Yeah.
there. You can do new characters, and you don't have to worry about Magneto's 90. Superman would be over 100 now from when now he's different because he's Kryptonian, but Batman, what he
Right.
would
Would be damn right.
yeah, that's where I think comics are making a mistake, is they're not moving along. They just try to pull everyone along with them. It's
Yeah,
like,
you got to redo these. I think because I think the scary part about that, if I can use that term, is they don't want to lose their fan base. Because it's
yeah,
like, yeah, we're not saying you got to change the fact that Thomas and Martha Wayne were shot in the alley. We just don't need to fucking see it anymore. But you could have Thomas and Martha Wayne die tragically in the 70s or the 80s or something like that. That can still happen. I think that's the problem. Their idea of catch up is just like, well, we'll try to refresh the story, but the characters that you want to refresh, you just can't do that.
yeah. Nah, and it would, to go to your point, the reason that came up is you guys were talking about having more diverse characters. Well, the Hitler targeted the Jews. No one else has done, that hasn't repeated, but genocides have. So you can move that story around for other people. And I think it just it would make it better. Now, obviously, they aren't going to jump straight to movies. I don't think they'd have to do a comic with that and build that up.
I honestly think different though. I think
Oh, yeah.
I think the MCU is so trusted with what they're doing. I think the movies would come and then the comics would follow.
Well, I could see that. I could buy that, but I was thinking if you wanted to build up your fans.
Oh no, I agree with you on that though. But
Yeah.
I think the problem with that, the only issue is it's too long to do in regards of time. And granted, things have been pushed back now because of everything that's going on, but still, like time with what you want to do, you would need 10 years at minimum, I'd say, to get everybody acclimated to this new stories. Maybe 10 years is too much, but I'd say probably 5 or 6 to get everybody acclimated to these new stories. And then when you start saying, well, we're going to use these stories in the movies, now people are like, okay, cool. But I think it's just like, you just got to go for it.
Yeah. Well, and the movies right now are bigger than the comics. At least they're making more money.
Mm-hmm.
So to tell it started in the movies and have the comic books come after would make sense too.
Yeah.
And like I said, it would stop the critics of, we don't need to see Batman's parents killed again. We don't need to see the ship land in Kansas again. We don't need to, I know they're DC. I'm mixing my.
Well, no. Everybody does like their certain origins. We just don't need to see.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think we're pretty much like, that's what this started. Got it. Like,
yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Like we understand.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben shot and died. Great power, great responsibility. Thomas Martha Wayne, Mama's Pearls. Got it.
Yeah.
Asteroid, Kansas. Mama couldn't have kids. Like, we got all these stories.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that would break that cycle of repeating those stories. Yeah. If you got to show someone surviving Rwanda or one of these other places that have happened, or any other new origin story.
Well, because what it does, like, I don't know if I said it on the podcast, because no matter what happens, especially with Magneto, no matter what you do for his origin story, whether it be the Rwanda genocide, the thing in Kosovo, no matter what, it has to be something that is so heinous that it makes him hate humanity as a whole. because it can't just be somebody shoots his family because he can just kill them and be done.
Right.
He has to see the worst in humanity, no matter what no matter what the tragedy is, on what level. It has to be enough to make him say, I hate humans.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I just think, if they would do something separate from the original and break it off, he doesn't have to be Magneto. He can be the Magneto character, but
that's a damn good.
You can create it. Then you get new characters. You keep the story, and you can have them. Well, these guys were doing this in the 60s. Why didn't it work? Which is a good question for society now, that hey, we were having these problems in the 60s. Why are we still having them 60 years later?
Those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah. But that to me, all you got to do is keep the story interesting, and you can swap out whatever parts of it you want as long as the story's still good.
And I do agree with BT what he said though. One thing, he was like, I don't want a bitch ass Scott Summers. I don't want to I want Scott to have some I need that Scott X-Men the animated series.
Yeah. Well, that's you guys touched on it. It's who the casting weight of the actors more than and people do this all the time too. I hear them complain on Collider or Schmoes or whatever that this isn't right, but you got Jennifer Lawrence to play Mystique. Of course, Jennifer Lawrence is going to be raised up in the story.
I said that on the podcast. I'm like, yo, it's an Academy Award winner.
Yeah, that's it's kind of nuts that people don't see the real world effect in their story. They just complain about it.
Yeah, I think people forget that when it comes to the business of making movies, when you're trying to make a blockbuster movie, you can't make a blockbuster movie without stars. Now, no matter who we think may be stars, production companies don't, because the first people they're looking at is all right, who's the most talked about talent? Boom. Now, what credits do they have? They don't have much, but we can get an Academy Award winner. You go on first and foremost with an Academy Award winner.
Yeah, that's it. I don't get mad at things when I know, everybody was mad that Han Solo died. They're probably lucky to get Harrison Ford to agree to the one movie to come back. Of course he's going to die in it.
You know what? I'm glad you said. People act like he was supposed to just say, I'm going to do every single movie no matter what. Harrison Ford is getting older.
Yeah.
He acts, but he has other things he wants to do. Just because a person has played a character everybody don't want to stay in a certain character for the rest of their life.
Yeah. No, and that's, you have to accept some of that stuff. It's like the anger at Game of Thrones, the final season. I kind of predicted everything that was going to happen. I know, okay, they only got this many episodes. I can see where they funneled themselves. I see what has to happen here. Of course, they aren't going to kill all their main characters that we followed over 7 years at Winterfell because they want the Ice King to win. Where's the story go after that?
Right. All the Westeros is frozen over. That's it.
Yep. Goodbye. Yeah. It's just when you think about things, I think one, you'll get less offended or mad at entertainment. Keeps some common sense in your thought processes. Don't take everything so personally.
I don't know why people get so offended at things. Even when I watch certain things with comic book movies that I have grown up in love, and I see them make changes on things, and I'm like, first of all, I know they have to, because you cannot translate comic book pages page for page, panel for panel, directly into TV and movie. Why? Because it'll be 7 to 8 minutes total.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's done. We read quick, but when you put all that right in the script and done, it's 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not a movie.
No. Yeah, even if you go with a longer graphic novel, maybe what, 15, 20?
15,
Like
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, people think it's like, oh no, this will be a long movie. No, it's not. It takes a long time to write it and to break it down into script format, but they aren't just going off one little thing. They need to go extra. It needs more behind it. That's why with the New Mutants, whenever that finally comes out,
Yeah.
it's the whole saga of the Demon Bear. It's the whole Demon Bear saga. It's not just one issue, 1 or 2 issues. It's the whole saga.
Yeah. That's it. Are they dropping that on Disney Plus now, or have you heard? I've heard so many confusing
things. At home panel yesterday.
Yeah.
They, according to the panel, and according to what they said, it is still scheduled to come out in theaters August 28th. Which, again, that laugh says everything. It's not happening.
Nah. We're going to be lucky if we get into the theaters by spring, I think.
Spring next year?
Yeah, 2021.
I think we'll be in it by then. I think for sure, because of the way that the only reason I say that, there's a race. I've never heard of a race to make a vaccine so fast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it isn't just one company, it's different people, different entities all over. There's a race to do it. So I think we'll be in by like the end of winter, early spring. Yeah, we'll be in there. But at the same time, I think theatrical season, as far as going into theaters, is done for the year. Like, I don't know what would make them think that, oh, this movie has a chance. When Warner Brothers is consistently like, yo, push it back.
Yeah.
Sony, push it back. Disney just shifted its entire regular slate.
Yeah.
Like, its regular slate shifted, but the New Mutants is okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe they think that's about all the people that would see it.
I mean, given the fact it's no loss that's the thing I tell everybody. Yeah. It ain't a loss for Disney no matter what. Yeah. No matter what happens with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fox put the money in it. Fox made it. Drop it. Everybody keeps oh my God, I'm glad you brought it. Just keep annoying me. Everybody's like, well, it has to go to HBO because of the deal that Fox had, blah, 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 blah. Like, yo, there are new contracts and new owners. Yeah. Like, this the same thing no more.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure those are in the contracts. If we sell, these contracts become void. You know, that language is always included.
People forget about those little things. Man, listen.
It is a little frustrating sometimes listening or looking at comments and listening to other fans bring up these theories and all these points that it's like, if you think about it, that ain't ever going to happen, you know?
Well, it has to go to HBO Max first because of the deal 20th Century Fox. Again, 20th Century Fox sold all the, what was like $60 billion worth of assets to Disney. Yeah, I think that is something that's definitely taken care of.
Yeah. That's the only reason I like I said, I thought I heard that it was going to Disney Plus, but
they did a TV spot that everybody was like, at first everybody thought it was made up, but supposedly it might be real.
Well, I thought Disney Plus wasn't going to have any R-rated content and
PG-13.
They're gonna okay.
So again, you and I are on the same page because the New Mutants was always supposed to be an R-rated movie,
right?
So somebody was like, "Oh, it's PG-13." I was like, "No." The thing about the New Mutants was it was R-rated.
Yeah.
And so you PG-13. Now you can slide it on the Disney Plus. But like I said, the phrase "the New Mutants in theaters" is a curse.
Yeah, that's it's been what, 3 years, 2 or 3
Almost
years?
3 years.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy how things happen. I mean, I can remember all kinds of different movies that over the years that I've heard of Halo and Dragonlance from the
Oh
D&D
man,
series.
they were adapting every popular video game was getting adapted into
Yeah.
movies, no matter what. Oh, hey, Halo, we're gonna find out who's gonna be our Master Chief. Okay,
Yeah. 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 That's the,
it's everything that is popular for one genre doesn't like this whole Uncharted movie that's been taking so long. Like, at what point did I just like give it up?
yeah.
Because like now you finally started production on it, slowly but surely. But it's like, okay, is it worth it? Because I remember there's been a Final Fantasy movie or something like that, and
Yeah, I've heard that.
crazy stuff. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, there's been tons of, I'm an H.P. Lovecraft fan. Um, and I've been waiting for At the Mountains of Madness for Tom Cruise and Guillermo del Toro were going to do it. I've heard rumors since I was in high school in the 80s, that.
You hear all these things. It's like that's like when you hear about now, like all this stuff is in production and is in discussion or in development. I'm like, yeah, development don't mean it's for sure happening. Like, development means they're like, we gonna need somebody to eventually give us a story that's gonna be worthwhile having somebody write a script,
Right.
and making us want to invest in finding a cast for this. Like,
I used to say that I'd believe it when I saw the trailer, and then New Mutants took that away from me. You can't even believe.
I believe it when I see the trailer. Or the New Mutants has a new trailer. Okay.
Yeah.
I would personally, me sitting on this wooden stool that I'm sitting on is painful. I would personally rather them say for the New Mutants in theaters eventually. Like, don't give me a date.
Yeah. Well,
Because every time they give a date, it goes away.
Yeah, right now they shouldn't be putting dates on anything unless they're announcing something for 2022 or 2023.
Well, they got
You know when
2021 dates because I think that's, again, the safest bet. So they're like, we can do 2021 dates. Cool.
Right.
But nothing should have a 2020 release date at all.
Right.
Like, nothing should be even close to saying coming out 2020. I think they thought about the video on demand, and the problem with, like, people are like, well, just put it out on video on demand. You can put out New Mutants because ain't nobody going to see it no way.
Yeah.
But
so
you're saving money anyway. But when it comes to like other things, like for instance, Birds of Prey,
right.
You weren't gonna, because you want people to go back to the theater. If people had a chance to sit at home one time and watch it, they don't have to pay for it again.
Yeah.
There's no incentive for me to sit there and I'm watching it at home. Boom, I pay $20, right? Mm-hmm. Now I watched it. Now I don't want to be like, I'm gonna pay another $20 to watch this again. That's not gonna happen.
No. But I have turned around to go to a movie on a Thursday night at like the 8 or 7 or 9 and turn around and went right back to the midnight show.
It's something about that theatrical in the movie theater experience. Yes. That's completely different from being at home. Like, you're not gonna, that's why they don't, a lot of these studios at first were like, we can do it. Then they were like, no. But I think Trolls changed everything when Trolls hit like 300 million. But the only problem is kids are at home. Parents need something to do for their kids.
Yeah. The 2-hour babysitter.
A 2-hour babysitter that's a brand new movie that you ain't got to lug them to a theater to deal with all that potential. They can be at home. And yes, if you're a parent and you need something to do, you'll buy it again. That's a rarity. But like the New Mutants especially, nobody's going to do that. Now, everybody keeps saying they should drop Black Widow. They for damn sure not going to drop Black Widow.
Nah, they have one. They're betting their future on that if what happens. And I think you might have been the one that turned me on to this theory about Florence Pugh's character taking over. I agree, and you aren't going to drop that at that something that big from. You need that to be in the theaters.
You need that money off that, because especially we're talking about MCU movies. which are known to have at minimum 1 to 2 post-credit scenes that are major things you need to see.
Yeah.
It's not going to have that same feel. I'm watching the post-credit scenes of Black Widow at home, but the first thing I do as soon as I see it is I'm tweeting about it now.
Yeah.
As opposed to I can wait till I get out the theater. It's just a different feel. I mean, people will tweet about it regardless. It's just a different feel.
Right. Yeah, no. This is, I mean, I'm 53, and this is the most messed up time in my life ever. I've never, obviously, no one has, has gone through anything like this.
Dude, I don't think anybody expect. I think it's so weird when, like, it's weird now that the world is calling itself trying to move but still shut down.
Yeah.
You're like, this is awkward. Like when everything was shut down, I think that was the weirdest time for everybody. When everybody was like, the world has stopped.
Right.
It's just stopped. And then for me, here's my nerdy brain. Well, shit, we just got into 2024 of the year of the MCU, and now we're supposed to be going through all these different things. And like, what are we going to do? How are we going to pick this up? That was my thought. Like, how are we going to pick all this shit up? Like, I don't know.
This has thrown monkey wrench into so many people's plans that
man, because especially with the MCU, because it's not even just the movies, the Disney Plus shows,
right?
Because they all were supposed to like go into each other and everything, and it's like, yeah, we got to move some stuff around because I think WandaVision was supposed to go immediately into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And like now it can't, so.
Nah, and that's, I mean, Black Panther 2, what was Shang-Chi, all these got to be.
Captain Marvel 2, figure out something with Blade, what was going to happen with that.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much, like, it's in the air now. I think last year's Comic-Con was the best and worst thing that could have happened to everybody because we knew so much stuff was going to come down the pipe for the MCU.
Yeah.
And now we're like, well,
Kevin Feige's just erasing big whiteboard somewhere.
Just erasing the shit out of a timeline.
I will say thank God for Netflix during this. I don't know how they're doing it, but like I know you and I think it was Rudy that talked about Warrior Nun.
Yeah,
that is an awesome show.
Dude, you know what? I knew that they had been, auctioning off and getting properties that were non-Marvel and DC. But like, I didn't like Netflix going to production and you don't even fucking know it. That's the thing.
Yeah. That's I'm on the next to last episode of Cursed. I don't know if
I haven't watched that yet. Is that good?
It's good. It's a different take on the Arthurian legends. Okay. A matter of fact, Gustav Skarsgård plays Merlin. He's Alexander Skarsgård's brother. That whole family's just talented. I haven't seen it.
Alexander, all up,
yeah, they're
Eric, all.
Yeah, but yeah, and my wife and I are waiting for Umbrella Academy next week.
So I'm gonna actually watch I haven't watched the first season.
Well, I liked it. I mean, that's all I can. I very much, because I disagree with critics and everybody. I like what I like, so I never try to oversell something.
You're supposed to like what you like regardless.
Yeah, nah. It's but we really like the first season of Umbrella Academy.
I heard a lot of people say great things about it, so that's why I'm definitely gonna check it out. Because again, I've watched so much stuff. Like like I said, I watched The Warrior Nun, I watched Old Guard. I've been watching all this other stuff on Netflix. I'm like, okay, let me play catch up on stuff. I caught up. I think it was month 2 of all of this. I watched American Gods on Stars. I finally watched all of it, and I was like, oh what was I waiting on?
Yeah, that's one I forget when it was on or why I didn't get it. It was one I wanted to, and then just kind of missed it. That's another thing. There's just so much content, and I watch several hours of YouTube a week too, on top of that to try to keep up with other things. And because I enjoy it, you guys put out great content.
But you know what? It's funny you bring that up because for the longest, we've all been saying, fans, critics, pundits, everybody was saying it's so much content, right? Like, how can you watch all this content? Well, the world shut down.
Yeah.
You had nothing but time to absorb it.
Well, I haven't had a day off since
Oh, wow.
I work in IT.
So you're nonstop go, go, go.
They said, don't come back again, but be at work every day.
Make sure you log into the computer. You at work, but just don't come into the building.
Right. So I have left my house, other than to get groceries and stuff like that, maybe once or twice in the last 4 months to actually go do something.
Yeah.
My wife and I go somewhere, and Pennsylvania is now one of the 4 states that happens to be going down. So we feel a little better, but
it's weird when you see certain states, the ones you hear, they're like, hey, it's actually doing well. I think because you think in conjunction, like Illinois is not bad. They're actually decreasing. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I thought Illinois would jump up.
Yeah. Well, and I think both Illinois and Pennsylvania got hit so hard early that now we realize that hey, this is real. And I won't steal but the guy in office.
Oh no, I've seen so many people saying it now. I'm like, I want credit from it forever.
I give you credit every time it pops into my head. But that's what I think's going to turn this thing around is November.
For sure, because I think also, like, not to go political, I think that's why he decided to wear a mask. Somebody told him, like, yo, you do realize what's going to kill anything, no matter what, is this. And if you need people back on your side, you need to do one thing.
Yeah.
Wear a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And I was from the time I moved up to $25, I don't get too political. You and I are very similar in our beliefs from what I've seen of you on camera, but I still didn't want to go into because it's, I'm kind of like Harloff in that situation. I just don't want to talk about that shit.
I tell people sometimes, I'm staying with one of my homegirls and we talk, she tries to talk, like, I just don't want to. Can we, like, you just tells me, look, can we not?
Yeah. But I do like what you call them.
Somebody was like, how did you come up with that? I was like, I was upset.
Yeah. I was calling them the Orange Grimace. If you remember Grimace from the
from the McDonald's
place. He kind of reminded me of that, but
Grimace.
Oh no, but I do remember now. I did what in Warrior Nun. What if that wasn't what was the angel's name? Adriel in the cave. That was one of my thoughts.
Like, so are you there? Are you?
Yeah, I've completed it.
Okay, so you see, I thought, I didn't know it was going to be Adriel himself. Like that was weird. I didn't know what to, I honestly didn't know what to expect. And the twist, I'm still trying to figure out the real twist. Because remember, Lilith is like, you're a thief.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's a demon.
Well, that's what I mean is that he's not really Adriel. There was an Adriel.
Oh, I get
remember in the middle somewhere they say Adriel, because he gave up his halo, got old and passed away. What if this demon is just playing as Adriel, trying to get the halo?
Okay, that makes sense. I think that's the case. Okay, by that, I think that might be the case.
Well, and they had me thinking. they had me thinking aliens too. They weren't angels; they were alien there for a while.
Well, I'll tell you what really weirded me out. This may sound weird. The halo to be an angel's halo was so small.
Yeah. You figure
I think for me, I was like, I expected it to be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. So I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, maybe it shrinks like the ring of power. It will shrink down to the.
Well, I mean, but when you saw the flashback to who supposedly Adriel, it's the size of the thing.
Yeah, that's.
I'm like, okay, but that would make sense. Like, that's really a demon who's just trying to be able to get the halo.
Because
so the kingdom is in both angels and demons.
Would make sense since the demons are supposed to be fallen angels.
They're fallen angels, so yeah.
Yeah, but
so what if Adriel is so it can't be Lucifer, it can't be the Morning Star because he's not Satan. That would be the
yeah, but you could open up your old dungeon or monster manual from D&D and go through the demons and hey, Beelzebub or
Balthazar.
Yep. There's plenty of them, but and that science fiction fantasy stuff's always gotten me. That's my bread and butter. That's the cursed. Not. It has cast diversity. They made King Arthur. Well, he's not king, but Arthur Black.
Okay.
He's not African American because the guy's from London. That's why that's the African American versus black thing confuses me. If the person isn't American,
that's a black actor. I'd be like, yo, I can't play a thug because I'm from. I can't play a thug role but he can.
But no, you did the Patreon where you said about characters being different races, sexes, whatever. Battlestar Galactica, everybody lost their minds when they said, and it turned out to be one of the best shows ever. They changed Starbuck to a woman. They changed Boomer from a black man to an Asian woman. I remember getting freaked out when Mr. Mom was going to be Batman. So, once that worked out, I was kind of like, okay, I'll trust whoever's making the movie.
I think that's how it is for a lot of people. It's like, okay, if he can be Batman, you know what?
Hey, imagine that. Actors can act,
But people forget that. I think we're so used to seeing, but that's why when we see certain people play other roles, the shocks that we have.
Well, I think, yeah, and it is. And I think I call it in the comment I left you, I called it a knee-jerk reaction, which it is.
Yep.
But if you sit back and watch something 99 times out of 100, it's going to turn out good. Yeah, every once in a while, they're going to, mess something up and you're not going to get the greatest results, but that's life. That happens in everything.
Nobody is infallible.
Right.
Nobody or nothing is infallible. Shit can go wrong all the time. You can cast again, hypothetically, even though we know this might not ever happen, Giancarlo Esposito becomes Magneto. Hypothetically, he could be terrible. We know that's not the case.
You're right.
But you get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think Halle Berry's a bad actress, but I'm never watching Catwoman.
Man, dude, we leave that like that movie never happened.
Yeah, leave it go. It was a swing and a miss. Walk away. Nothing to see here.
Right. But it's the explosion behind you with all the flames, and you're the cop, like, ladies and gentlemen, please go away. There's nothing to see here. You just seeing bricks and mortar flying there. There's nothing here. Like, that's what Catwoman was.
Yeah, but that happens. I mean, you can there, you know, hundreds of movies that happens to. Why hang on to it? Now you remember it because if you're scrolling through, you don't want to watch it again. But you know,
Do you have a movie that you've been like that you thought was so terrible that you never wanted to watch? However, you found yourself watching it again?
probably. But coming up with one off the top of my head, I mean, no one's ever heard of this movie, but there's one called Dungeon Master that came out in about 84 or 85. I think I was a senior in high school. And I busted my ass chopping wood, doing all this work to earn the money and the right to borrow my parents' car to go see this. And this thing was the most god awful piece of shit I've ever seen. And I remember driving back I had a carload of friends driving back, just swearing the whole 20 some miles from the theater because I was so mad I had done all this to go see that movie.
I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The bad thing is we had a choice between Dungeon Master and The Last Dragon, the Kung Fu movie.
Oh no!
And because we were all big D&D geeks, of course we wanted to see what Dungeon Master was. Oh man, I was so mad.
And then you find out that The Last Dragon becomes a cult classic.
Yeah. Oh, I love The Last Dragon. I saw it a couple years later on video. I'm like, why did I not go see this movie? But these things happen. All you can do is laugh about it.
For me, I think it was Green Lantern. I think recently. I saw Green Lantern in theaters. I said, what the fuck is this? I was like, how did Angela Bassett get wrapped up in this? Why is Tim Robbins in this? Like, that's how I felt. So I thought it was so terrible. But let Green Lantern come on FX or something right now. I'm watching.
No, I would probably say that would be a good one too, because I have watched that a couple times since I saw it in the theaters originally, and I didn't completely hate it, but I didn't think it was great, and I thought I'd never watch it again. But it comes on, I'll watch a bit of it.
I'm still upset because I'm like, the suit, you've done Spawn. Why cannot this, like, why does his face have to change completely? Like,
that's and Ryan Reynolds is so fired up to do this stuff, he probably just think, I'm in Green Lantern. I'm in Green Lantern.
Of course he did. Of course he was. He was like, I'm in Green Lantern? Let's do. And then he probably watched it and was like, so I'm the Green Lantern.
Yeah. Thus the Deadpool cutscenes or whatever.
Did you see somebody had tweeted him a couple months back about like, yo, they should watch Green Lantern? And he retweeted it and was like, don't do it. Like,
yeah.
He was like, don't do it.
Well, hey, Holly Berry has Catwoman, Ryan Reynolds has Green Lantern.
Oh my God. We could go through all the terrible superhero movies. But man, I want to say thank you, Jim, for this, man. This has been fun.
Yeah. That's one of the other reasons I did it was because I want to leave more comments, and sometimes what I write sounds good in my head, but doesn't come out on the page. And
you sound like me. You sound.
Yeah. I know I'm pretty sure I've offended Roca a couple times with comments, and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant.
Well, take it from me. It's very easy to offend.
Yeah, Roca does have some. He's always we need more women but you can't hurt them. That's that when Jennifer Lawrence for one of the Apocalypse where Oscar Isaac has her invader chokehold and everybody loses their mind. I'm like, wait, if you're gonna put them in there. They can't. Where's your story gonna be then?
I was so upset. I was so mad. People were mad at that. I was like, "Are you First of all, it's a blue purple dude holding a blue chick.
Blue on blue violence.
Blue on blue violence. Secondly, these are fucking comic book characters in movies. Why do we have to use that one? There's a lot of other violence you could use to describe apocalypse.
Yeah.
But Jennifer Lawrence and Oscar Isaac are your two prominent names.
Yeah. And I get like they don't want to like slaughter diverse characters, but they still have to have the same risk as a white character or any character.
Yes,
that's the story.
I had zero issue with the way Mystique died in Dark Phoenix. She should have died in Apocalypse. She didn't even want to be in Dark Phoenix, but that's all the discussion.
Jennifer would have liked it better, probably too.
X-Men Apocalypse. Oh, should have been. I don't have to put this shit on no more. You sure?
Yep. All right, I'll let you wrap up this time.
This has been fun. Seriously, this has been very fun, man. I appreciate it. I don't know if you do the things to have people reach you, but if they want to contact you, let them know how.
No, I stay off Twitter.
Smart man, very smart. That's the best way I can end it. He's like, you know what? I stay off Twitter. Listen, thank y'all, everybody, for checking out another 101 with the Shooting Villain. Thank you, Jim Payne. You are a black. Again, I have so much fun with these conversations, and this was another one, dude. I got to be honest. This is another one. We just talked about some of everything, and it's just like that's what I love about these. That's what I love about these, man. But y'all stay tuned for another edition when they come back. Because, again, as long as they're members at this tier, we do these once a month. So these conversations can go anywhere. Y'all already know. I'll let y'all later. Take care. Bye.